Howdy folks! Welcome to TravyJsSpace here on YouTube. And welcome to another fabulous episode of Let's Talk, where we just talk, discuss, and break things down, share opinions, and just kind of communicate and share our perceptions on certain things. There's no games, no distractions, no problem. So for today's episode, I'm actually very excited about this one. It's basically about all things Nancy Drew. That's right. This episode is entirely dedicated to Nancy Drew, and we're going to talk about all things Nancy Drew. Let's jump right into it here. Let's not waste any time here, because I'm very, very pro at trailing on and inadvertently creating very long Let's Talk episodes. So let's keep this conversation brief but detailed. Catch my drift? Okay, good. So the first thing I wanted to discuss was an idea that I have been kind of generating in my mind that I think would be really cool for the Nancy Drew world. I've kind of mentioned in some of the Nancy Drew Let's Play series, here and there, I think I've mentioned that I'm also reading the Nancy Drew books, the original ones from the beginning. As of right now, I'm on book 15, The Case of the Tapping Sounds, or something like that. I can't remember. I should have brought it on set so I could show you guys. It's a pretty cool cover, and it's very interesting so far. However, the more I read these books and catch up with my Nancy Drew library, I keep having this idea where a show could be created, a television show, maybe directed more for kids. Or, I mean, I would watch it too, and I'm sure a lot of Nancy fans, no matter how old, would probably enjoy it. But I keep noticing, the illustrations in the novels, and they really stand out to me. They're very unique, and they've kind of got their own style. They're very pointed, and a lot of really good detailed line work in that. And when I'm reading the books, I know that I kind of have this image in my mind of how Nancy looks, Bess looks, George looks, and it's always pretty similar. And however, when I'm reading certain dialogues out loud, or when I'm reading the dialogues, in my head I'm hearing the voices from the Nancy Drew PC games. So of course George is a little more brisk and, is a little more of a tomboy-ish kind of voice. And of course Bess with her high-pitched, kind of soft, squeaky, timid voice. And then Nancy, of course, which I always hear Lanny Minella in my head. Lanny Minella or Lanny Minelli? I think it's Minella. Anyways, I always hear that legend's voice in my head when I'm reading Nancy's bits, and it's just permanent. And I think anytime I read anything Nancy Drew, where she's speaking, it's always going to be Lanny for me. But then I started to think about it, and in my head, I kind of imagine each scene and the characters in that moving and such, but in the style of the illustrations in the book. Now, I know in this modern day and age, there's so much demand, and also kind of a market for these new, modernized kind of 3D animated cartoons, and kind of like really cartoony. And there's just a kind of a certain style taking place with trends right now. So I know this idea I'm about to share is a little bit different, but I think it would be really cool and authentic and genuine to the Nancy Drew world. So in my mind, when I'm reading, like I said, I always imagine the scenes being played out in that style, not like real people, but in the style of the illustrations. And I think it would be really cool if the Nancy Drew company, I guess, or whoever's in charge of that label, that trademark, looked into creating a cartoon series, maybe 30-minute long episodes, but using the same illustrations as their animation from the books. And I think that would kind of bring Nancy Drew, the book series anyways, back to life for the new generation. I've had this idea for a little while now, kind of just been sitting on it, but I wanted to share it because I just feel like it's a constant for me every time I'm reading, that I'm basically watching and participating in this make-believe animated show of the book. That kind of plays out in my head, and I just keep thinking to myself, how cool would that be if that actually was a series you could watch? And there's many Nancy Drew books, of course. There's like 107 or 8 in the original series from 1930 all the way up to 2003 or so. So I mean, there's quite a lot of mysteries, or quite a lot of material there for a large bundle of episodes and mysteries to play out. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Would you guys watch a Nancy Drew original animated, or rather kind of like cartoon-based show? I mean, I know I would. Pardon me. You know, so I'm thinking the only way I could compare it to is kind of imagine like the original Scooby-Doo, you know, and it was all, you could tell, hand-drawn and all that stuff. There wasn't much 3D animation going on. It was all just kind of drawings and stuff, like the Jetsons or the Flintstones, you know, the original cartoon series. I think it would be really, really cool and kind of nostalgic, fun, to kind of recreate that, bring those illustrations in the books, the Nancy Drew books, to life on the small screen. I think that would be a really cool idea. And of course, I would definitely pitch Lanny Minnelli to be voicing Nancy Drew. I mean, it's just a given. I think that would also kind of provide an opportunity for her to utilize Nancy's character and voice to reach a whole new generation of kids that maybe have never played the Nancy Drew PC games before, or children that don't have a computer and just have their phones or tablets, or I mean, I don't really think young children should have either of those, but yeah, you know what I mean. It'd be a great way to kind of reintegrate what I was raised off of, you know, with the Nancy Drew PC games, and now catching up on in my adulthood the books, and bringing that kind of into the small screen, into the cartoon world. I think that would be really cool. But tell me what you guys think. Do you think that would be something that would take off in this day and age? Is it something that's kind of dated, you know, and may not get the reception that we would hope as Nancy Drew fans? I'm just really not sure, but I know that in my heart I would really love to see that take off. And I feel like it would be a great way to kind of appreciate and kind of show gratitude for Nancy Drew and just the entirety of that world and that that fan base that we're all a part of. Yeah, I could really see it. I've been contemplating it in my head for so long, and then I wrote it down because I thought, okay, now I gotta talk about it on Let's Talk, dedicate an episode to it. I think that'd be really cool. So yeah, for the cartoon series, I think that would be really, really, really interesting. It would be cool if maybe they incorporated Nancy Drew PC games as well, brought them on board to kind of help with bringing that essence from the series into the show. So there'd be kind of a blend of, yes, the cartoon, bringing the illustrations from the books alive, but then incorporating certain, I'm thinking more musical and ambient soundtracks effects from the PC game version, or the PC games series. And of course, Lanny Minella? Oh, I gotta look that up today. I always get her name wrong, but I definitely think Lanny Minella has to be a part of that. In my heart and in my soul, she will always be Nancy Drew. And anytime I read Nancy Drew and I'm reading her voice, it's always Lanny in my head. So there's just no way around that, and that'll never change for me. And I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for a lot of Nancy Drew PC game fans when I say that. However, moving right along, the other topic I wanted to discuss when it comes to our good friend Nancy is Game 34. Game 34. Where are you? Where are you out in that big wide world full of new and exciting games from all kinds of different series and all the chaos and beauty in the world? Where is Game 34? I'm really nervous. I'm very sad and a little bit hesitant about it. And just kind of uncertain about its manifestation, you know. I know that over the years, we've had, as fans, we've had responses from certain members of Nancy Drew PC Games reaching out to say, you know, to confirm that yes, it's in development, you know, we are working on it behind the scenes, etc. But that's all well and good, and it's appreciated that they're reaching out, because some companies, The Sims, will never tell you anything about anything, as well as Bethesda when it comes to a new Elder Scrolls or a Fallout. Very tight-lipped. But with Nancy Drew, I feel like it's a little different, only because before Midnight in Salem, Game 33, which I don't really want to get into because that's a very crazy dynamic topic, and there's a lot of strong heated opinions about it, which I share to some extent with. But before that, you know, when we had the original game engine, Lanny Minella, you know, all of that kind of nostalgic originality and kind of genuine authentication with the series still in play, the timeline was kind of always 2 games a year. And that was always just kind of a thing. It was set in stone. It was just something that kind of happened, I guess. So we kind of got used to that idea that, you know, every year we can look forward to tackling 2 more mysteries. And at the end of each mystery, getting a preview to what the next one would be. So I know as a kid I was always very excited to get a new mystery in my hands and download or install it on my PC on the CD-ROM and get into it. But I think that same excitement would reignite within me getting close to the end of a mystery, because you knew you were going to get a brief kind of exclusive insight into what the next game mystery would be. So I'm just very uncertain about 34. I'm very nervous. I'm very hesitant, and I'm very worried actually too, because we haven't really had any news or tidbits of information other than some confirmations provoked by eager fans wanting to know anything they can about it. Other than those things, we really haven't heard much, and it's been pretty much 3 years since Midnight in Salem was released. So I don't know what's going on there, and I honestly, I don't know how to put this. I feel almost a sense of kind of disconnection, if that makes sense, from the series. It feels like it was a thing of the past, and I don't like that feeling. I really hope and have faith and want to believe that, you know, Nancy Drew PC Games will carry on for many years to come. But that could just be me wanting the best for something that I'm very passionate about, and that I love truly, that's dear to my heart. However, for 34, when it comes to the game itself, I'm really hopeful and hoping that they kind of revert back to the original game engine and stuff. I know a lot of fans have commented on the fact that Sea of Darkness, or I want to say it's Sea of Darkness 32, being the last mystery with the original engine, and that a lot of fans collectively had the same idea and the same feelings and thoughts, that they really reached such a beautiful peak aesthetically with that, with the graphics and the soundtrack and the environments and all of that. They really just outdid themselves and brought it to a whole new level of gameplay and just kind of nostalgia and connection and excitement, really. And I agree. I definitely agree with those that huge group of fans that feel that way, because it was very beautiful. It was a beautiful game. It was well constructed. The mystery was great. Characters were fantastic. But it was, I guess for me, just a huge disappointment when they had decided to kind of just scrap that whole engine and just move on to something new and rather risky, I might add, because as we all know, that didn't really pan out so well with Midnight in Salem. I mean, it's grown on a lot of people. I know a lot of people now are kind of coming around, and kind of just accepting what has happened and changes that have been made and such. But I've always been a person that just always believed, if something's not broken, don't fix it. Why the need to fix it, And I never really felt myself personally that the Nancy Drew series was broken or in need of something new and desperately needing some kind of rejuvenation. I never really thought that of the series. It was always one of those series that was timeless and classic and nostalgic and never really could become outdated or irrelevant, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I never saw or imagined or ever believed that would or could happen with Nancy Drew games to this day. So I don't understand what happened there, because we waited, I think, 4 years, 3 years at least, for Midnight in Salem. As you all know, it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then of course once the trailer dropped, there was a large majority of people that were really disappointed and really upset, and a lot of people that were defending Lonnie's honor and just really confused and aggravated and agitated and annoyed, really. And I gotta admit, I was one of those fans. Of course, over time I calmed down and let it go, but I was one of those fans that put my 2 cents in, left a comment, and in the big pool of literally a majority of negative comments, which I don't usually like to do, but when it's something that I'm passionate about or something I really enjoy and love, I feel like I gotta speak truthfully and from the heart and just say how I'm feeling. So I don't know, I really wish that never happened, and I don't want to I don't want to ignore the fact that the Nancy Drew crew over at Nancy Drew PC Games must have worked very, very hard to create Midnight in Salem. I mean, I don't want to shadow their efforts and their hard work, because I'm sure they did a lot to get that game going and worked very hard, and I'm sure there was some justifiable reasons why they had to push it back, and why it took so long and all that. I'm sure, you know, benefit of the doubt, but I still can't kind of get over the changes. You know, it feels like a whole new game to me. Still fairly enjoyable, but it wasn't a mystery that made me feel like I was still playing Nancy Drew PC games, you know? I feel like that aspect, that nostalgia, that connection, the warmth, the immersiveness, all of that was kind of cut off, you know, and what was delivered was something brand new, very modern, fresh, edgy. You know, Nancy Drew had a whole new voice, which that alone was really difficult to swallow, simply because, you know, ever since I was 5-6 years old, I've only ever known Lonnie as Nancy's voice, and I'm 25 now, so I mean, it's heartbreaking, and it was heartbreaking, and I feel like it still is heartbreaking. And I know Lonnie's very successful. She's been in many, many different games, so I know leaving the Nancy Drew series isn't a great impact on her financial situation or her livelihood, being in, you know, Skyrim, Diablo, and countless other games. But I think it's more of just a principle thing. It just feels like I feel bad for her, because that, for me, I feel like that was kind of her pride and joy, even though she had a lot of big games that she was featured in and did voice recordings for. I feel like Nancy Drew was kind of her comfort spot, her home, where she was most comfortable. And of course, she used her voice for many other characters in Nancy Drew mysteries over the years. You know, like Lulu in Curse of Blackmore Manor, the parrot, the Beasts of Blackmore Manor. In that game alone, she plays many voices. I believe she plays Millie Strathorn's voice in Stay Tuned for Danger. The list is endless. You know, her talents are so, I mean, just beyond creative, and wide ranging. Like, she's just incredible, you know. So I don't know, I'm still very bitter and just a little upset that Lonnie is no longer a part of Nancy Drew games. So again, kind of just adding more into the idea that Nancy Drew games has kind of lost its, still love them, still love the company, still love the games, all of it, but I can't ignore the fact that it feels like there was a huge severance there, a great divide, you know. And I understand the CEO came out and said we're trying to appeal to a new, younger, modern demographic and to a younger age group and all of that stuff. But, you know, there comes a line in the sand, I guess, where, you know, or a certain boundary that you should maybe not cross or overstep your means, you know, to reach that goal. Like, I just feel like if that was their goal and their purpose, they just took it to such far extents that now the game will only appeal to those younger demographics, the younger groups, the kids that, what's Nancy Drew PC games, you know? And that's the first one they play. I feel like that's now just for them. There really isn't anything in the new games, for me anyways, I feel, that is appealing or directed towards Nancy Drew PC, longtime Nancy Drew PC game fans like me, who loved and appreciated and fell in love with the series for some of its original properties and styles and nostalgia, you know? So, yeah, I'm just reflecting a lot on the Nancy Drew series, and of course with that cartoon show that I think would just blow up, and I think it would be incredible, bringing, you know, the old nostalgia of the books, but bringing it to a new platform with original Nancy Drew PC game voice actors and actresses. I think the blend of all three would make an incredibly dynamic, fun-filled, exciting little cartoon show for sure. And yeah, with Game 34, I hate to say anything mean or rude or unsavory or negative about PS2 games, because PC games, because my loyalty is there. Like, same with this, not The Sims anymore, fortunately. So, okay, so I guess that's where I'm kind of going with this, is I'm noticing a trend with a lot of gaming, long-standing gaming industries and companies and that franchises, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that they're all kind of separating from the roots. You know, Sims 4 was a huge step away, I felt like anyways, from the Sims 3, 2, and 1. And now they've just announced that Project Renee, the Sims 5 thing, is coming out, which again looks like another huge separation from the original roots of the game and why it is what it is and how it is what it is. So it's just heartbreaking to see this era in gaming, PC gaming, where a lot of companies are severing ties with their roots, with where they came from, you know, and where they started, and kind of not remembering or reflecting or considering those roots when they move forward with future installments. So it's kind of heartbreaking for me, because I feel a sense of disconnection. You know, as much as I try to stay connected by playing, you know, previous installments, all the old Nancy Drew mysteries, and even with The Sims, playing The Sims 1 here on TravyJsSpace. It's just, yeah, I can only live through that, I guess. But I feel like in the past, I'd say about 8 years, it's really felt like this transitional era has slowly made its way into this world of PC gaming and certain franchises, and I definitely think Nancy Drew PC Games is one of those. You know, I understand they had a CEO by the company after Sea of Darkness, or during Sea of Darkness, that was essentially brought in to kind of save the company from going under, or so I read anyways. And she had made a lot of changes within the corporation. I read on a blog post that, and these Nancy fans I appreciate, they went right into it and they were discussing in a blog, you know, what happened internally? Was it something with the management? Was it? And they got all the details and just spilt all the tea. And apparently, you know, the CEO lady had bought the company and basically let go of a certain alarming percentage of original staff members that had been around since its origins, you know, back in '98. She cut the company down by, again, another alarming, significant amount. Of course, let go of Lonnie Minnelli, and then decided, you know, we're going to forget this old game engine that everyone here and the fans are used to. We're just going to start fresh and try to make some money here. You know, so it feels like a lot of stuff's just about profit now. And I understand some companies, franchises like that, they need to make money in order to survive and carry on. But when does it become more about, it feels as though it's becoming more about the money rather than the game. There's not as much consideration or acknowledgement or respect for the roots and the nostalgia and what the game or franchise stands for, and more about, well, we need to make money, so we just got to do it, what's trending, what's popular, what's new, what's exciting, blah blah blah, without even incorporating or strongly, you know, considering and incorporating previous styles and all of that jazz, you know. That's the same with The Sims as well. It's just really sad. It's really sad to be a long-standing, loyal fan of Nancy Drew PC games and The Sims actually right now too. But this episode's not about The Sims, so I need to stop. I just had an episode about The Sims and I went on a rant about that. So there's kind of a similar topic of conversation here going on in the last episode about The Sims and their big live stream announcement thing and The Sims 5 or Project Renee or whatever. There's a similarity between, you know, the context of that conversation and this one with Nancy Drew PC games as well. So I don't know. It's kind of worrying. It's very nerve-wracking, and it's kind of scary. But I guess all I can do is hope for the best and hope that changes are made, and maybe this new CEO is a little more, you know, what's the word? A little more open-minded, I guess, or a little more considerate, or kind of lets down her walls and is a little more approachable when it comes to kind of backtracking a little. I don't know if there's any contracts in place with the new Nancy Drew voice actress, but just bring Lonnie back, please. I'm sorry, I can't. That girl is, I checked out her Instagram page, the voice actress, the new voice actress for Nancy. Her name escapes me, but she's so cute and she's very talented. And it looks like she, you know, she's got her own kind of lineup of voice acting that she does. So, you know, I think she seems like an open-hearted, considerate person. I feel like she would understand if they let her go on the basis that, or felt the need to let her go, or brought up the idea of letting her go on the basis that the fans just highly, like a majority of the fans are really hoping and asking and kind of demanding, sometimes I've seen, that they bring Lonnie back. I think she would understand. I don't think she would take it personally. I don't think she would. She might be a little upset. I can understand that. You know, getting Nancy Drew for a job, that's a big deal. I would love myself to be in one of the Nancy Drew games, or to even have my picture in one of the rooms or something like they've done in the past. But that's a big major role, you know, and kind of the core of the series is Lana Minella's Nancy Drew voice. So yeah, I don't know. I wish they would consider that. Sorry, new Nancy Drew voice actors. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude or mean or get you out of a job here, but you know, you just there's just certain things that just shouldn't be touched, you know, or changed, or like I said, you shouldn't really go fixing things that aren't broken, you know, and fiddling around with things that are okay, you know. If it's stable, then let it be, you know. It's like you get something balancing, or oh, it's balancing, okay, let it stay that way. If it goes off kilter and destruction ensues, then try to fix it and let it balance again. But there's no sense in jumping in there and kind of fiddling around with things that were perfectly fine before, you know. So anyways, that's basically all I have to say about Nancy Drew in its entirety, Game 34, my idea for this new Nancy Drew cartoon series, and Lonnie Minnelli, if she's watching this, I love you so much. You are everything. You are incredible. You are multi-talented. You are an inspiration. You are just a guiding light in so many ways. And you may think, well, I'm just a voice actress. No. When I say guiding light, I really mean it. Growing up, your voice raised me. You, as Nancy, you raised me. You taught me things. You know, a lot of people like to reflect on the awesome thought that Nancy Drew games have taught us a lot over the years, you know, whether it's languages, math, art, history, you know, all kinds of things, mechanics, electronics, science, you name it. And you know, a big part of learning all that stuff was through you as Nancy Drew. So, you know, you've been incredible, and it's a shame to see that you're not a part of that anymore. And I really loved you in Skyrim. I remember the first time I played it, I thought, wait a minute, that dark elf, the one that wants ice wraith teeth in Holden, no, in not Markarth. I don't have much of a memory anymore. Sorry. But anyways, I remember hearing her voice as a dark elf and thinking, oh, Lonnie's in Skyrim? Oh, good for her. I'm so happy. You know, because then it's kind of like your presence lives on, and maybe not Nancy Drew, but in other games too. So, but you know, I do love you, and I really wish that things were different, and I wish you were still part of the Nancy Drew series with all of my heart. And I don't know if a petition would do anything, you know, change.org and all that stuff, but I really, really would hope and pray that they reconsider bringing you back on. And I know you'd probably do it with open arms, and you just yippee. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so very much for watching. I appreciate and love each and every one of you, and I'm very grateful that you tuned in here today. The pleasure is all mine, and we'll talk again soon. If you have any suggestions for future topics for Let's Talk episodes, please do not hesitate to comment below and leave it there for me, and I will definitely take note of it. I've got many sticky notes all around me, and we'll definitely strongly consider making it a topic for a future episode. And if you have any comments or opinions or perceptions on what we've talked about today, definitely, once again, I encourage you all just to drop below there and let it all out. And we'll talk. We'll talk in the comments about this post-episode. All right? Thanks, guys. Toodles for now. Ta-ta. Ciao. Till next time. Howdy, folks. Did you like that video? Well, then why don't you go ahead and give that thumbs up a smackaroo. Don't want to miss out on the next episode? Give the subscribe button some love, and make sure to turn your notifications on. That way I can give you a bell ring, let you know dinner is served. Still need more to chew on? Take a bite of my new YouTube Instagram account at TravyJsSpace to keep up to date with the channel's inner workings and news of upcoming projects and episodes. Thanks for watching. See you next time.